This happened 10 years ago. I was back in my small hometown after a decade in the city. I hoped the quiet would help me think. It didn't feel like the same place I grew up in. I stood at the bus stop, the old wooden structure familiar yet strange. The paint was peeling, and memories swirled in my mind, half-formed and shadowy. The evening air was chilly, and I pulled my coat tighter around me. I felt the stillness all around. After a few minutes, I noticed a woman sitting on the bench. She looked ragged, wearing a tattered coat that hung loosely on her frame. Her hair was wild and unkempt. I shifted nervously, feeling both curious and uneasy. Then she turned to me and asked, "Do you believe in stories that are not supposed to be told?" I didn't think much of it at the time. I laughed a little, thinking it was just a quirky thing to say. But her words stuck with me like a thorn. I felt a creeping unease, like something was lurking just out of sight. The following days were strange. I chatted with a neighbor who had lived here forever. I mentioned the woman at the bus stop, expecting them to chuckle. Instead, they became serious. "You should watch out. She vanished years ago after talking to a girl at that very stop." The words sent chills down my spine. What did that even mean? Then, at the diner, I met an older man known for his stories. He leaned in and whispered to me. He spoke of missing pets, shadows flitting through trees, and people disappearing after speaking to that woman. My stomach twisted in knots as he painted this picture of a horror I didn't want to believe. I tried to chuck it off as local myths, yet the dread kept crawling inside me. Every evening, I pondered this woman. I wished I never met her. What was she trying to tell me? Was she some kind of ghost? Or was I just another player in a tragic story? The questions knotted themselves in my mind, making me restless. One night, I found myself standing in front of that bus stop once more. The same eerie stillness surrounded me. I felt my heart racing, my breath quickening, as I remembered everything I had heard. I peered into the dark, and for a moment, I half expected to see nothing at all. Then I saw her. There she was, shrouded in shadows, standing just a few feet away. I froze, fear gripping me. My feet felt heavy, like they were glued to the ground. I wanted to run but couldn't. I was drawn in somehow. Before I could say anything, she whispered, "You shouldn't have come back." Her voice was haunting, echoing in my mind. I wanted to scream but no sound came out. The air thickened, and the world blurred. In that moment, I truly understood some stories are buried for a reason. I didn't sleep that night. Every creak of the floorboards was a reminder of her words. I felt trapped in a web of dread, and my mind raced with questions. The morning light brought little comfort as I stared out my window, trying to shake the image of that woman from my mind. I decided I had to find out more. I needed to know the truth, however dark it might be. After breakfast, I headed to the library. It was a local repository of the town's history, and I thought there might be anything about the woman or the tales I heard. The musty smell of old books greeted me as I stepped inside. I spent hours scouring newspapers and archives, pages turning under my fingers. There was mention of strange occurrences, of pets vanishing and townsfolk muttering about shadows in the woods. But nothing concrete about her. Just vague references that did nothing to answer my questions. Then I found a headline that made my heart race: "Girl disappears at bus stop, search efforts lead nowhere." The article detailed a case from 10 years past. It was chilling. They had searched everywhere, but the girl was never found. The note in the article mentioned that witnesses had seen a woman there just before she vanished. That moment felt heavy, like the air had thickened around me. I traced my fingers over the faded ink, and a surge of anxiety washed over me. Was the woman at the bus stop connected to this disappearance? I pulled out my phone, fingers trembling, and searched for the police report. I needed to know more. As I read the details, fear coiled tighter in my stomach. The girl had been seen talking to someone before she disappeared. The description matched the woman I had encountered: a tattered coat, wild hair. I closed my eyes, imagining the scene. What had they discussed? What had led to that day? Feeling overwhelmed, I left the library. I stepped outside, needing fresh air, only to see a figure standing at the edge of the parking lot. My breath caught. It was the woman from the bus stop. She hadn't vanished after all. She stood there, staring at me, a distant look in her eyes. My heart raced. I wanted to run, but curiosity rooted me to the spot. She moved slowly, her gaze locked onto mine. I could feel a weight pulling me toward her, against my better judgment. "Why do you keep looking for me?" she asked, her voice echoing from my nightmares. Then everything went dark. The world faded, the sunlight gone, replaced by a cold emptiness. I felt a chill creep down my spine, and just like that, I was not alone anymore. I couldn't tell how long I had been enveloped in the darkness. Maybe seconds or hours passed. But then, like a snap of a rubber band, light broke back into existence. I found myself in an unfamiliar place, sitting on damp grass. A chill wind wrapped around me, sending shivers through my body. A figure stood just a few feet away, her back turned to me. It was the woman, but this time she was different. The tattered coat was now pristine, her wild hair flowed like strands of silk. She seemed to be staring into the distance, lost in thought. "Where are we?" My voice sounded distant, almost foreign. She turned slowly, her face suddenly illuminated by a beam of sunlight. Her eyes bored into mine, hollow yet piercing. "You wanted the truth," she said, her voice a whisper that sent ice through my veins. "So let us find it." Before I could respond, she began walking away, her footsteps soft but sure against the ground. I hesitated, my heart pounding. I wanted to run, to escape this haunting figure. But curiosity held me firm. I followed. The landscape stretched out, wild and overgrown. Shadows danced among the trees, and a thick fog rolled in, wrapping around anything in sight. The atmosphere shifted. It was as if time had stopped. I could hear the faint echo of children laughing, but it twisted into muffled cries as I moved deeper. "Why are you doing this?" I called out, desperation creeping into my voice. "Where are we going?" She paused but didn't turn around. "You need to remember," she said quietly, her words hanging in the air. Then everything changed. The ground shook slightly beneath my feet, and a sharp pain shot up my leg. I glanced down to find something burrowing into the soil a hand. Dirt crumbled away, revealing a gaunt, dusty arm. Panic set in. I stumbled back, uncertainty flooding my mind. Was this another piece of the mystery? Before I could gather my thoughts, the laughter returned, only this time, it was eerily close. "Join us." The wind seemed to whisper, though there was no one around. The woman turned her head just slightly, I could see a twisted smile forming on her lips. "What do you want from me?" I shouted, fear spilling over. She finally faced me fully. "To see the truth of the past," she replied, her voice now echoing with unearthly resonance. "You have to accept it." Her words struck me like a thunderclap. What was she talking about? What past? I demanded, but I felt my resolve faltering. As if in response, the fog thickened, swirling around me until shapes began to form. They flickered like old film, showing glimpses of a girl standing alone at a bus stop, eyes wide with something fear? Hope? Something darker, I couldn't tell. "I don't want this," I whispered, my heart racing. But the woman stepped closer, her gaze unyielding. "It's too late. The past will always find you." And with that, I was pulled into the whirlwind of memory. The laughter morphed into screams, the faces became distorted. Then everything went dark again. But this time, I sensed movement. Something was behind me. Someone was close. I wasn't alone anymore. My breath caught in my throat as I turned, fear consuming me. I spun around, heart hammering. The figure behind me was indistinct, cloaked in shadow. My eyes strained against the darkness, searching for a sign of familiarity. "Who's there?" I demanded, my voice trembling. The fog thickened, swirling around my feet like a living thing. There was no answer, just a low hum in the air, filling the silence with an unshakable sense of dread that I took a cautious step back, but the ground was uneven beneath me. I stumbled, nearly losing my balance, and that's when I saw it. The hand, now fully visible, was grasping at the earth, dirt resting beneath its fingernails like betrayal. "Keep moving." I forced myself to look away and run, but each direction felt wrong. Shadows loomed and shifted, creating a maze that pulled me deeper into the unknown. I could still hear the woman's whispered promise echoing in my mind. "You need to remember." Panic clawed at my chest, the laughter returned, growing louder and more chaotic. The sound wrapped around me, chilling in its warmth, twisting with an unsettling familiarity. "Stop it!" I shouted, my voice swallowed by the fog. I pressed forward, desperate to escape the growing chaos. Then I saw her, an apparition in the mist. The girl from the bus stop, her eyes wide and imploring. "Help me," she whispered, reaching out. "Are you real?" I took a hesitant step toward her. She frantically nodded, then pointed to the shadows behind me. "They're coming for you." My heart dropped. I turned, and just as I did, the figure lunged. It was the woman, her face twisted into a mask of rage. "No!" I shouted, backing away. The girl gasped, disappearing into the fog. I turned back to see the woman advancing, her pristine coat fluttering like black wings. "Why are you doing this?" I screamed in desperation. But her expression showed no remorse, only a chilling determination. "You're part of this," she cried, her voice now layered with echoes. "You can't run from what you've done." "What I've done?" Confusion and fear tangled inside me. "I don't even know where I am." But even as I protested, images began to flash in my mind, snippets of laughter at the bus stop, a schoolyard, the sound of a ball bouncing. I saw the girl again, only now she was seated on the pavement, tears streaming down her face that hit me like a wave. The memories flooding back, uninvited yet undeniable. The truth hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. "Wait!" I cried out. I needed to understand. Why was it my fault? What had I forgotten? Then suddenly, a low growl pierced the air. A guttural sound that sent a shiver racing down my spine. I turned, and in the murky night, I saw shadows shift again, the figures circling closer. "Run!" The girl's voice echoed back to me. But before I could move, the world flipped again. The laughter turned to screams, drowning out everything else, and I was left in darkness once more. But I could feel them, it was close, a heartbeat in the shadow. I wasn't alone. I struggled to breathe as the weight of the darkness pressed in on me. The laughter morphed into anguished cries, filling my ears. I tried to ground myself, focusing on the faint glow of a distant light through the fog, but it flickered like hope dwindling. Then I felt it, a chill creeping across my skin, like fingers trailing down my back. Panic surged within me. I took a step forward, hesitating, my heart racing. The light danced in and out of view, but something pulled me toward it. That I took another step, then more, pushing through the haze. With every stride, the whispers grew softer. Just beyond the veil of fog was a narrow path lined with warped trees, their branches reaching out like skeletal hands. "Keep going," I murmured to myself, though I wasn't sure I believed it. But the allure of the light was too strong to resist. As I reached the edge of the fog, the clearing revealed an old bus stop, its bench worn and cracked. Beneath the dim glow of a flickering streetlight, the memories came flooding back again, the girl, the laughter, the game of tag. I could see us there, it was a sunny day. She was smiling, her pigtails bouncing as she ran. But then, I remembered something darker: an argument, voices raised, and my own harsh words echoing back. No! I gasped, anger and sorrow blending as I jaggedly pieced it all together. I had said something. Something that hurt her. But what? My mind raced as I glanced around. The bus stop felt haunted, the shadows lurking in every corner. Then I heard the growl again, closer this time, sharper. I spun around, scanning the area, still feeling eyes on me, that S when I noticed it. On the bench, an old photo flickering in the light. I reached for it, trembling. It was a picture of me, the girl, and a boy I didn't recognize. In it, we were laughing, carefree. But I could see an uneasiness in our eyes, an undercurrent of something unsaid. Who was he? Why hadn't I remembered him before? I swallowed hard, the realization hitting me like a punch. The chaos, the shadows, the laughter, it all tangled together in a frayed web of memories I couldn't fully grasp. I felt the air shift, the weight of something dark loomed behind me. Turning slowly, I spotted a figure emerging from the fog. It was the woman again, her furious gaze locked on me. She took a step forward, and the shadows surged around her like a storm. "You can't escape this," she hissed, her voice like broken glass. "You've already lost her once. What do you want from me?" I yelled, dread twisting my stomach. Her lips curled into a wicked smile. "To remember." Suddenly, the girl's face appeared in my mind, her tears shining bright and full of pain. "Help me," she had pleaded, and I could feel the weight of that request pressing on my chest. In that moment, I knew I had to fight back, to confront what had been buried. I steeled myself, pulling my shoulders back as the shadows rushed closer. They were searching for something, maybe for me. But I needed answers first. I took a deep breath and called out to the woman. "I will remember, and you can't stop me." With that, everything shifted. The ground shook, and the darkness swirled around me, revealing a chasm of memories. My heart raced as I clung to the photo, determined to untangle this mess. The shadows closed in, but I wasn't done yet. I needed to understand. I needed to know who that boy was, and just as I prepared to confront the truth, the world around me snapped. The air crackled. Then everything went dark. I awoke to the sound of distant sirens, piercing through the thick silence. My heart pounded irregularly as I blinked against the harshness of bright light flooding my vision. I was lying on the cold ground, the bus stop now a vague outline behind me. Gradually, the shapes came into focus. They were paramedics, their costumes like an unintentional horror play. One of them was leaning over me, their gentle voice barely cutting through my confusion. "Can you hear me?" I nodded, sitting up quickly. My head spun, disorientation swirling like the fog I'd just escaped. The bus stop was gone, replaced by stark reality. The woman, the shadows, they had vanished. But something inside me felt different. I wasn't just scared, I was angry. "What happened?" I croaked, forcing the words out. "Do you know your name?" the paramedic asked. The worried gaze clouded my mind with doubt. I'm fine. I just need to," I started, but panic cut through me. Where was the photo? I felt for my pockets, but everything was empty, including my heart. I had to know the truth about the boy, about what happened to the girl. Before I could push myself up, another medic walked over with a serious face. "We found you near the old bus stop. Do you remember how you got there?" Suddenly, the air felt thick. My stomach dropped at the idea of confessing the chaos I felt earlier. "No, but I need to get back there," I said, urgency creeping into my voice. The paramedic shook his head. "You've been through a lot. You need to stay calm." Just then, a sharp hiss filled the air, and the ground trembled beneath us. The sirens faded, the world tilted, dizzying me once more. "What's happening?" I heard myself shout, but the ambulance was no longer there. My heart raced as the shadows began to emerge from every corner of my vision. They curled and twisted like dark smoke, seeping into the corners of my mind. I fought to hold on to my thoughts. I couldn't let them take me again, and that's when I saw her just beyond the growing darkness, the girl with the big brown eyes. She looked older, but the pain was still there. "Help me!" she cried as if I were the only one who could save her. I remembered the laughter we once shared, the games we played. The boy from the photograph surfaced in my thoughts again. Who was he? Did he play a part in this? All I knew was I had to confront the truth, not just for her but for myself. At that moment, with her desperate eyes on me, the shadows grew thicker. They reached out like claws, grasping for my hope. I took a deep breath and shouted her name into the abyss. As my voice echoed, the shadows hesitated for a split second. I felt a flicker of something within me, a chance. But just as I steeled myself to break the chains holding me back, the darkness surged forward. I had no idea what was coming next, but I felt it deep in my bones. There was more I needed to discover, and time was running out. The girl needed me to remember, and I wouldn't let her down again. Then everything went black again. I gasped as light burst back into my world, ripping me from the void. I was still on the ground, but now the paramedics were gone. The air felt electric, alive with energy that thrummed through me. The shadows weren't as deep anymore, fading like a distant dream, but I could still feel their presence lingering, their claws receding reluctantly. I scrambled to my feet, dizzy but resolved. I looked around, half expecting to see the girl again, but nothing. Just the empty street ahead of me. A long look towards the old bus stop set my mouth into a firm line. I had to go back. I felt that photo burning in my pocket, though it wasn't there. Just then, I noticed something glimmering in the dirt beside me. Bending down, I picked up a small keychain flashlight, its surface scratched but intact. Why had it fallen here? I glanced around, half expecting someone to show up, but the street remained silent. I turned the flashlight on, illuminating the path ahead. I needed a plan, some clue, anything that could help me understand what was going wrong. My heart raced again, not from fear this time, but from urgency. As I walked toward the bus stop, I strained to remember that picture of the boy. His kind smile haunted me. What was the connection? I was starting to sense an unfolding story in my mind, but the pieces were all scattered. I arrived at the familiar corner and stopped short. It looked just as I remembered, the bench weathered and slightly bent. I checked around, half expecting someone to jump out from behind the bushes. But there was nothing. The stillness felt eerie. I shone the flashlight over the ground and noticed something unusual. There were footprints in the mud, deep and fresh. I knelt down, my heart thudding. They led away from the bus stop and into the darkness of an alley. What if it was the boy? Could he be real, or was this just another trick of my mind? That flicker of hope ignited my resolve. I had to follow it. Pushing my fear aside, I aimed the beam of light into the alley. The shadows there were deeper, and the walls loomed close, but I pressed on. The urge to confront whatever lay ahead consumed me. Suddenly, I heard a noise. A rustle, a whisper of movement. My hand tightened around the flashlight, and I called out. "Hello?" My voice echoed against the bricks, but there was no answer. Just the heavy silence that filled the alley. I took a cautious step forward, and then another. Just as I was about to turn back, something caught my eye, a flicker of movement just beyond my sight. I squinted, trying to make it out, and that's when I saw it, a figure standing still at the end of the shadowed path. My stomach dropped. My body froze. Was I really ready for what came next? I took a deep breath, stepped further into the darkness, and braced myself for whatever truth awaited me. I moved cautiously, heart pounding in my chest. The figure didn't move. Instinct told me to turn back, to run, but curiosity kept my feet planted. The flashlight beam cut through the gloom, revealing a glimpse of pale skin and tangled hair. Who are you? I managed to call out. My voice wavered, echoing back at me without a response. The figure remained still, like a statue carved from the darkness. I took another step, pushing the beam closer, hoping to see a face. As I neared, the figure turned. It was a girl. The same girl from before, the one who haunted my thoughts and desires for answers. She looked older, more worn, her eyes heavy with unshed tears. A shiver ran down my spine. This was not just a ghost of my imagination, she felt real. "Please, you have to help me," she whispered, her voice barely a breath in the air. "It's not over." "Over? What do you mean? Who are you?" I stepped closer, adrenaline pushing me forward. Her expression morphed from desperation to something darker. Fear gripped me, but I held on tight. "I can show you," she said, pointing toward the ground. "You have to look." I knelt, shining my flashlight down, and gasped. Beneath the layer of dirt and debris lay a metal box, half buried. I reached for it, fingers trembling in anticipation. It was cold and heavy, engraved with strange symbols I didn't recognize. "What is this?" I asked, glancing back at her. "It's a part of the truth," she replied, her voice steady now. "You need to open it. It's vital." My hands tried to pry it open, but it wouldn't budge. Panic prickled at my thoughts. "How? What do I do?" "Use the key," she said softly, her gaze piercing through the heavy veil of shadows. "The key you have in your hand." I remembered the small keychain flashlight, suddenly feeling more than just a tool. I turned it over, examining it closely, and noticed a small notch hidden in the design. It looked as if it could fit into the box. "Wait, so this?" I stammered, glancing up again, ready to ask for confirmation, but she was gone. The alley was empty, as if she'd never been there at all. A chill swept through me. I gripped the flashlight tighter, my breath hitching in my throat. I stared at the box, the mystery deepening as shadows crept closer. If I was going to understand what was happening, I had to open it. With trembling hands, I inserted the flashlight into the slot. I felt a shudder at my fingertips. Suddenly, the air shifted, thickening around me. I took a deep breath and turned. Everything blurred. And then it clicked. The cover popped open, and a bright light burst forth, piercing the darkness of the alley. I shielded my eyes and stumbled back, realizing I was no longer alone. Multiple shadows emerged from around me, converging from every corner. They didn't feel like threats, just lost souls, searching for something. In that moment, I understood I had unlocked something far more than just a box. I had opened a door to a reality intertwined with my own. Before I could process it all, the shadows lunged, their whispers echoing in my mind. The girl's voice returned, rising above the tumult. "You have to choose." I looked at the light spilling from the box, my heart racing with a new urgency. I knew then, whatever I did next would change everything. I stared at the light spilling from the box, my mind racing. Shadows enveloped me, flickering around like restless flames. Their whispers were disjointed, fragments of conversations I couldn't quite piece together. I felt a pull, a strange mix of dread and intrigue. "Choose." The girl's voice echoed again. But what was I choosing? I looked back at the box, its glow intensifying. The air buzzed with energy, and I could feel the weight of all those lost shadows pressing against me. With a shaky breath, I moved closer. What lay within might hold everything I needed to know. It could explain the girl, the other shadows, and why my world felt so tangled. "Do it!" a voice yelled from the shadows. I scanned the faces. Some were familiar, others foreign. Each one was lost, adrift in their own turmoil. Emotions swirled around them, fear, sadness, longing that I swallowed hard, hesitating. My heart raced as I thought of the girl, her desperate plea. What do you want me to choose? I asked aloud, hoping for an answer amidst the chaos. Empathy, a boy stepped forward, his features sharp and haunted. Connect with us. Find out what binds us together. His words hung thick in the air. I felt pulled to reach into the box, to uncover its secrets. But that felt immense. What if the truth was too heavy to bear? I looked around, I could see the pain etched on their faces. Resolute, I knelt beside the glowing box. I felt its heat radiate against my palm as I brushed my fingers across the engravings. There was a rhythm to them, a pattern I couldn't yet grasp. I needed to dig deeper. As I ran my fingers over the symbols, I felt an electric shock surge through me. Vivid memories exploded in my mind, flashes of stories of loss, love betrayed, chances missed. Each image brought more shadows swirling around me, their whispers gaining urgency that I gasped, pulling my hand back. "What is happening?" I exclaimed. The shadows quivered, blending into each other, their forms shifting. They were seeking something from me. But what? "Face your truth." A woman cried out. "You are part of this." I could feel a choice looming, a weight pressing on my chest. I took a deep breath and grasped the box again, desperation flickering inside me. With each heartbeat, I became more certain, I had to unlock whatever this was. "Stop!" I shouted, and the murmurs stilled for a moment. "If I can help you, I need to understand. Show me." The box pulsed, and with a blinding flash, I was transported to an unfamiliar place. A bustling bus stop loomed before me, cold and rainy. Shadows coiled around people waiting for rides, their faces lost in thought, unaware of the weight they carried. That's when I saw a glimpse of the girl, standing under the flickering streetlight. She was watching, her eyes filled with sadness and clarity. The bus rolled up, the doors opening with a hiss. I stepped forward, heart pounding, knowing I was about to learn the truth behind everything. But just as I reached for her, the bus doors slammed shut, blocking my way. I spun around, panic rising. "Wait! Don't go!" Then everything went dark. I awoke again, this time sprawled across the ground of that familiar bus stop. The chill in the air felt sharper, an unsettling reminder of everything that had transpired. I blinked at the dim streetlight flickering overhead, and for a moment, the world hung in silence, the weight of what I had experienced pressed down on me. The shadows, the girl, the haunting sensations, they all crept back into my mind like familiar ghosts. As I pushed myself upright, I scanned my surroundings, half expecting to see the woman from before or the girl whose uncertainty gnawed at my heart. No one was there. A passing car illuminated the alley briefly, its headlights cutting through the darkness and illuminating the remnants of scattered leaves. I felt that sense of urgency again. I had to find the girl's truth, but did I even have the means anymore? The knowledge swelled inside me, her story was intertwined with mine. Anything I uncovered might lead me closer to understanding. Deciding to follow the path as the shadows instructed, I took hesitant steps closer to the edge of the bus stop. Each crack beneath my feet echoed a memory, whispering tantalizing cues I couldn't quite grasp. The night air swirled around me, thickening with stories and voices lost to time, then I heard a soft echo in the distance. "Help me." The plea was woven through the fabric of the air, haunting me like a distant lullaby. I knew it was her. I sprinted toward the sound, pumping my legs with determination. My flashlight flickered as I ventured deeper into the alley. Puddles glistened like dark mirrors, reflecting the weight of my resolve. Somewhere in the back of my mind, doubt coiled. If I found her, would she be the key to untangle this mess? Or would she only lead me deeper into shadows I wouldn't escape? As I rounded a bend, the alley opened into a wider space. Fog rolled in thick, weaving its tendrils around me. And there she stood, the girl from my memories, her figure flickering like the light overhead. "You found me," she whispered, her voice soft yet heavy with unspoken truths. "What happened to you?" I asked, desperation lacing my tone. Why can't you move on? Her gaze dropped to the ground, and she took a step closer. It's always been about the choices we make. Her words felt like a slap, each syllable resonating with my guilt. You pushed me away that day. A flash of memory, sharp and painful, rushed back into focus. Voices raised in anger, your words cutting deeper than you realized. I didn't mean to. My voice faltered as the regret washed over me like icy water. She met my eyes, a mixture of compassion and sadness reflecting back. It's not too late, but you have to see beyond the fear. Confusion clouded my thoughts. What do you mean? Every shadow carries a part of us, a story left untold. You must face your truth to help me find mine. Her plea was wrapped in urgency, as if our fates hung in a delicate balance. The shadows around us thickened, swirling in a chaotic dance. I felt an unexpected warmth flooding through me, as if the memories of those lost souls swirled together. I don't know how, I admitted, the weight of my ignorance stinging. She smiled softly, like a comforting light amidst the maddening darkness. You do know. You have it within you to remember the good, what it means to carry love and loss. And suddenly, the fog shifted, swirling to reveal a swirling torrent of memories, laughter in the schoolyard, a boy that felt eerily familiar, echoes of a bond long since fractured. I took a deep, bracing breath. This was the moment of choice she spoke of, and maybe it was time to embrace the truth. With fierce determination, I grasped her hand, an act of connection charged with hope. Together. It was a simple declaration, but within it lay an entire universe of possibilities. As I held her gaze, the world began to shift again, shadows and light merging. I felt the energy of countless stories merge, fluttering like the pages of a book opening long past. Then everything faded into light. I blinked against the sunlit landscape that stretched before me. I was no longer in the alley or the bus stop. I was transported to an open field dotted with flowers, bright colors stretching endlessly in every direction. The girl stood beside me, her face radiant, eyes sparkling. Is this it? I breathed in awe. Are we free? But as she turned to me, a hint of sadness brushed her features. This is just the beginning. Your journey doesn't end here. In the distance, I noticed shadowy figures, remnants of the memories that had pulled me in, each flickering face hinting at countless stories still waiting to be shared. I grasped her hand tighter, the resolve forming in my heart. I couldn't run from my past, I had to embrace every aspect of it. As we walked forward, I glanced back one last time, heart heavy yet hopeful. There would always be unanswered questions about the woman, the boy, the shadows. But I had learned to carry their stories with me. I stepped into the radiant light, knowing the truth would guide my path forward, no longer afraid to confront the past. And for the first time, I felt a sense of ease settle. I would find a way to honor the lost and keep their memories alive, no longer just a shadow haunting my journey. I moved ahead, determined and resolute, because I finally understood, I could choose love over fear. I refused to turn back.